A new world needs new heroes, new villains, and especially new legends. Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Lost Legends of Scadrial Mistborn Adventure Game Podcast. I'm Trevor, the host and narrator of this adventure. You can find me on the 17th Shard forums in all of my Brandon Sanderson fandom glory as 5th of Daybreak. And with me we have the rest of the Lost Legends who will introduce themselves now.
So, my name's John. I go by Clovermite on the 17th Shard forums, and I am playing Tony Darkomancy of the new Elendel Darkomancies.
My name is Brian, and I go by name of Tajmil.
I am David, and I am playing Lord Falcom of the Falcoms.
Well respected.
My name's Kelly. I'm playing Merda.
So those are our Lost Legends. We'll hopefully see a lot more of them, which means that hopefully I won't be too harsh and kill them off. But a little information before we get started. If you haven't read Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn trilogy or Mistborn Secret History, I highly suggest that you stop now and take a chance to read these fantastic stories because there will be spoilers involved. Probably not in this first episode. However, our setting is going to take place about 20 years after the events of the final book in the Mistborn trilogy, so eventually you're going to get some information that will ruin the events of that story for you. So if that's at all something that you're interested in, which you should be, I would suggest reading that before you go any further. So, without any further ado, we will go ahead and get started. It's been 20 years since the events of the Cassandra. Ash no longer falls from the sky. The survivors climbed from the depths of their metal prisons into the field of rebirth, into a new life and a strange new land, with green and flowers and color. Something that none of them had ever experienced before, except for a select few who had seen a small picture that played an outsized role in the events of Mistborn. And yet, as much as things changed, things stay the same. While the Ska and the noblemen are no longer physiologically different, there still is self-segregation among the citizens of New Elendel as they struggle to build a new city for themselves and build a space for themselves in this new world. The noblemen's keeps have been building up slowly over the past 20 years. They reach for the skies just as they used to. The Ska slums have been built just the same, and all of life seems to be returning to normal. And yet, just as before, there seems to be one void that needs to be filled. That of the crime underbelly of this new world. Let's check in on Tajmil.
I go into a room and I see the tapestry and drapes are pulled shut, and I think, this is my chance. I'm going to steal what great secrets this room beholds in it. And I rush to the painting, and I begin to cut the painting to bits just to show my angst towards the person's house who I was stealing from. And I find a secret safe behind it, and I pry open the safe, and it's filled with countless jewels and gold and stuff, chock full of gold. And then I throw a coin down, and I jump on it and zip out of the room, lickety split.
Moving on, we'll figure out what Merda's been up to.
A short brunette stands in front of a brightly lit ballroom, wearing a beautiful gown. That's me. I was hired to discover some dirt on the belle of the ball, so to say. I walk gracefully up the stairs. Of course I wouldn't stumble at all. No mastermind would. Anyway, after an hour of mingling, I am able to sneak into the Belle's group. A few compliments and inconspicuous questions later, I have all I need. One glass of wine down our shirt later, and I'm kicked out of the place. Nothing like a good escape to finish the job.
And so with that, a spy joins our group. Now we shall move on to another poor member of our noble houses, Lord Falcom.
Lord Falcom walks through the slums of New Elendel. He is a tall, stocky man with blondish hair speckled with gray. As he walks, his attention is directed above him, where in the nicer part of the city, the new noble houses were being constructed. He was glaring enviously. He should be there instead of among the commoners. But he was a lord in name only, having lost his land and his household. What he did have was a resolve to regain what he had once had, and more. He had a resolve to do so through any means necessary.
And with that, we will check in on Tony Darkomancy and just see what he's been up to before our adventure begins.
Well, Tony's not so much the crime underbelly. He's right and proper. So I prepared a little scene here. Backstage, Tony downed his second vial of zinc. Curiosity. Tony sent a wave of emotion out to the bustling streets surrounding him. Simultaneously, the musicians began playing Tony's favorite song, The Final Ashfall. Outside, he could hear the crowds begin to quiet, obviously drawn to the music and the giant contraption sitting in the middle of the plaza. The drums kicked in. By now, the stagehands would be engaging the limelight mechanism. Tony had ensured that they rigged it so that it could flash the words he desired in a given sequence. Right now, it would be brightly proclaiming amazing to the masses. Tony adjusted the bow tie of his tuxedo and checked his top hat in the mirror. He knew his cue was only moments away. As if on command, he heard his announcer calling out on stage, "Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you an astounding display of mind-boggling amazement. The one, the only, Tony Darkomancy of the new Elendel Darkomancies." Tony burst onto the stage, a devilish smile plastered across his face. The music crescendoed, and the limelight display above him rearranged to form one word, magical. Tony sent out another wave of allomancy. Wonder. He gazed upon their transfixed faces, and noted many more passerbys joining the growing audience. "Citizens of New Elendel," Tony called out to the people as he rioted their sense of suspense. "I give you magic." Tony thrust out his arms in a triumphant V pose. A deck of cards tumbled sloppily out of his sleeves and flopped unceremoniously onto the floor, some of them even getting caught in his sleeves. Rust and ruin, Tony thought. I thought I'd mastered that one by now. Oh well. Without shame, Tony rioted excitement in the crowd, overwhelming any sense of disgust or disbelief. Everyone wants to feel good. You just have to help them along sometimes. "For my first trick, I will pull a mist rabbit out of my hat." Tony removed his top hat and demonstrated to the crowd that it was empty. He then set the hat on a table and pulled out a magic wand. "And now, for the magic words." Tony began waving the wand mysteriously over the hat. "Abracadabra!" Before he could finish, the bottom of the table fell off, and a slimy pile of gelatinous tissue tumbled out. It was a mist wraith, and it was hideous. It had 4 clawed legs jutting out of the side of its body, giving it an almost spidery-like silhouette. Out the back, a skeletal human hand formed what one might consider a tail, and at the front, a series of 3 rabbit skulls piled on top of each other like a tower. This essentially formed both the neck and head of the creature. To make matters worse, Tony had tied a rabbit pelt around the beast in a vain attempt to make it more cute. Unfortunately, it had the opposite effect, as most of the skin flapped loosely around the translucent pile of muscle and bones. On instinct, Tony began rioting everyone's sense of affection. He never understood why people didn't like fluffles. But suddenly remembering he was on stage, he switched back to rioting amazement instead. Except something was wrong. His reservoir of zinc fizzled out. Impossible! That should have lasted an entire hour. Tony suddenly felt an overwhelming sense of anger and betrayal welling up in the pit of his stomach. Too intense. There are other allomancers here. Tony looked up to scan the crowd and caught sight of a series of wagons bearing his family's crest. They rolled unceremoniously towards the crowd, carrying rotten vegetables and a sign depicting prices for each. mother. She never intended to support my act. She just wanted to find a way to profit off expired goods. At that moment, a moldy eggplant collided with Tony's face. He fell to the ground in a daze and felt a torrent of putrid vegetables pelt against his back. He made no effort to move. They would simply chase him down. Oblivious to the carnage, Fluffles absently crawled over to Tony and began nibbling on the expired produce. Tony himself absentmindedly began petting the creature, until he noticed something odd in the wreckage. There was a card embedded in one of the tomatoes that had landed near his face. He fished it out of the mess and carefully guarded it against projectiles as he read, "You ought to be an adventurer. I can make it happen. Come to this address at sundown." Tony smiled, his sense of anger fading completely. He would show his family. Jim isn't the only one who can become famous.
And so that's Tony. How interesting. We have a magician in the mix. So now we have all 4 members of the Lost Legends. A down-and-out nobleman, a magician, a spy, and a thief. After delivering a mysterious note to Tony Darkomancy, a sharp-nosed man with white hair visits the other 3 members, giving them the same information that Tony received, a specific address with a dire warning to make sure they arrive on time if they wanted to make sure that they were going to be a part of this new adventure. And so, keeping in mind that they didn't want to miss out on something as big as a new crime ring forming, each with their own ideas of what they wanted to get out of this new relationship, each of them showed up to a nondescript building at the same time. None of them knew each other before this, and yet they shrug and knock on the door. Does anybody want to describe what they see or saw on the way over?
Say, bushes of unimaginable beauty and a trail that was very friendly and led them along to their new awaiting adventure.
All right, you guys knock on the door.
I slowly walk after them, being careful of every hiding spot.
And as it opens, you see a terraceman in traditional terrace garb, along with all of the requisite jewelry. Ah, perfect timing. I am Tradition. I will be your liaison with Alloy for the time being. If you will follow me, please. Without any further pomp or circumstance, he turns on his heel and walks into the building, obviously expecting you to follow. What do you do?
I would stride in confidently with my shoulders high.
I don't know about you guys, but
Yeah, same thing. I just walk through the front door and keep my eye on anybody and everybody in the room.
And I lock eyes with whoever the person who didn't go in last with, and I say, well, it looks like it's time to follow tradition.
As you walk into the room, the door closes behind you and you see a guard at the door. He seems especially alert. Tin-Eye, perhaps? Either way, it doesn't matter. You are escorted into a room to find it surprisingly empty except for a few guards surrounding an innocuous table set against a wall. As you approach the tall man, Tradition nods to them. They pull the table aside and open a secret trap door in the floor, escorting you through. The small basement is poorly lit, and there are small barriers erected to break sightlines. You're escorted through the ersatz maze to a small room with a table with 4 chairs. There's 4 walls and a window facing a stage. After a moment, a man steps onto the stage, steeped in a hooded cloak. Strangely enough, his cloak seemed to be made out of a traditional mist-cloak, and yet the tassels are all stitched together. The effect is alien, yet rather intimidating. His face is completely obscured, but his voice booms out, filling the room. Good evening. I am Alloy. Let's not mince words. You've all wondered what job it is that has brought you here tonight. Well, I hate to disappoint you, but we won't be discussing that yet. First, I need to know which one of the crews assembled here are the most accomplished and able to complete this task. So I will be brief tonight. Whichever crew can present me with a bead of atium will be eligible to continue on as part of my operation. It does not matter to me how you obtain the atium, as long as you have it with you here at the next appointed meeting date. Provided, of course, Your activities do not endanger the sanctity of my operations. He glanced significantly to the side, and the sound of laughter echoed through the small space, despite the walls. You will be free to keep the atrium to do with as you please once you have proven your ability to obtain and protect it. That is all I have for you tonight. Remain in your rooms until you are escorted out. Alloy strode from the stage, his garment oddly stiff in contrast to the way mist cloaks normally flared out when someone made such a dramatic motion. Moments later, Tradition appeared at the door, where he had just let you in a few minutes before.
Can I jump in for a second? Tony, as Alloy is walking off, Tony would be like, excuse me, where are the hors d'oeuvres?
Alloy just laughs and keeps walking.
Rude.
Tradition opens the door and walks in. I'm afraid you'll be last to leave. My apologies, but as Mr. Lord Darkomancy here has gracefully guessed, there will be refreshments provided. A servant bearing wine, cheese, and various foods, all obviously canned, bustled in and relieved himself of his burden.
Wonderful.
Off from the direction of where you heard the laughter comes the sound of chairs scraping wood and boots on the floor.
Merda quickly pulls out her book and pen and starts writing furiously.
Can I ask what you're writing?
All information about anywhere in the hideout.
Okay. Are you burning tin?
No.
No? Okay.
I was just going to say, I take my bird out and pet it as I furiously shift my eyes from side to side, scanning the room for my next mark.
Tony is just hungry, so he's gonna wipe all of the, sloppy vegetables off of his tuxedo, and just,
He didn't change?
No, he's just...
I love it.
He came... The Sundown Man,
what a
they kept
trash
going with those
man.
vegetables. So, he just wipes himself off, and then pulls...
Total garbage
Fluffles
fire.
out of his top hat, and immediately starts rioting everyone's sense of affection for his pet, and just sits down and starts eating his cheese, drinking some wine, and feeding Fluffles.
Okay, John, go ahead and give me... are you going to go ahead and read their emotions first, or do you want to just riot?
Oh, no, of course, he just does this on habit. He wants everyone to love Fluffles. Okay,
go ahead and roll your rioting skill then. So 5d6.
5d6, okay. I'm glad you said it, because I didn't have the window open. 2, 4, 5... And it looks like I got 2.
Everyone in the room, despite the absolute revolting state of this mist wraith, you feel a little tug on your heartstrings for the little guy with the rabbit pelt wrapped around him.
I think Lord Falcom would just be calmly sitting at the table, but this would gather his attention, and he would stare intently at this abomination.
Merda shifts closer and starts drawing everything she can and observing Fluffles in its natural habitat.
And Tony is immediately like, "Oh, get this side. This he's better in profile." And he turns him.
I eagerly nod.
Sonichu just starts screaming at it, and I grab its beak and try and hush him up.
We haven't been introduced properly to Sonichu, I don't think yet. You didn't get the introduction.
Oh, he's my pet bird. Sonichu is my pet bird. He is my companion and my little feather friend.
What kind of bird?
He's a pet crow.
Caw.
And he's very fond of tricks and traps and hazards and all sorts of mischievous, terrible things.
Of the two pets, I think that one of them is getting the stronger reaction here.
Oh, yeah, you got a pet too?
Yeah, that's my mist wraith.
Oh, I just figured that was part of your magician act.
But both. He's my pet.
Okay, well that's badass. Yeah, we got 2 pets.
So ATM, huh? Does anyone else have any resources? Because I have some connections in my informant job that could really help us.
Tony is just like, I thought ATM was gone, man. I didn't even know that stuff still existed.
There's a lot of stuff that isn't known that I have access to.
You seem smart. I like you.
I like your information as well.
I haven't seen a bead of adium since the Catacendra, but if you know where it's at, I can definitely help get it.
Tony's like, well, I'm sure my parents had some at some point.
Oh.
But, I mostly just partied the last, 17 years, so I let them do all the work.
Your parents sound really important. Care to tell more?
I don't really think Tony glances around. This is really the kind of place my parents would appreciate me associating them with. And they certainly would have no qualms about killing me for it. So,
well, I don't know. You said I was smart. I could get myself out of trouble, and they wouldn't have to know.
If I could interject right here, Tajmil brings up the fact that his parents were killed by Kolos in the siege of Luthadel, and thinks that all this talk of family death and parents is bringing up a bad memory for him.
Rush, man, I'm sorry.
He starts crying in the middle of this room and drawing unnecessary attention to him. But meanwhile,
you can hold Fluffles if you want. That always cheers me up.
I love that you guys haven't exchanged names. You're like, my parents died when I was 7.
Merida starts writing in her book again.
Hey man, it's emotional for me, okay?
John, are you gonna do any rioting?
I'm still fighting infection. It's all about Fluffles, man.
Okay.
Fluffles is out. Everyone's gotta love Fluffles.
All right, Taj, you're obviously still upset, but you really like this mist rabbit. Like, there's something about it. Like, I mean, obviously you like Sonichu more. Sonichu is his pet crow, by the way. But like, there's something about this hideous mist rabbit wrapped in a rabbit's pelt.
A twinkle returns to my eye, and I make a new fluffy friend, and I pick up a carrot that John had missed on the back of his outfit and started feeding it furiously to the little rabbit.
Tony's like, oh, thank you. Oh, look at that. Fluffles likes you.
I saddle up to Tony and start whispering in his ear. If you ever want to share that information with me, you don't have to hesitate.
Tony just nods conspiratorially.
Falcom, what are you doing while all of this pet love is going on?
I think Lord Falcom would be caring about the mist rabbit, of course, just a little bit.
Everybody's rallying around the two mascots.
Well, it's just like revulsion and at the same time just a little like matching affection. So it's containing most of his focus, but he does notice Tajmil start crying because of his horrible past and kind of sneers. And
it's like Batman.
And he introduces, I'm Lord Falcom. You may know me or my name, but what is all of yours? And where do you come from? And he's directing it.
And then I say, I come from elsewhere. Or wait, where's Luthadel at? What is that, a city?
Luthadel doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, that was my home, was Luthadel. And then those Kolos came in and they destroyed it. So I just was like, screw it. And I've been being a gypsy tramp with my bird, going around, city to city, basically pickpocketing people and stuff. I'm a real rapscallion street tramp.
So we're in New Elendel, which is basically the city that was built to replace Luthadel.
I think, man, I like the old city better. It's like, at least in the old city, they had better stuff to do than the new city.
Tony's just kind of like, yeah, my teenage years, there was a lot of drinking. I don't remember that much. But I'm Tony Darkomancy of the New Elendel Darkomancies. You may know my cousin Jim. One day, I'm going to be more famous than him, but for now, yeah, my family is pretty rich, and I decided that it's time for me to make some money of my own. So that's why I'm here.
Good to know.
So, my name is Merda, and that's all you get to know for now.
Belong to any noble houses, Merda?
You willing to pay for it?
Ooh, snap.
I'm starting to like you a little less, Merda.
That's good to know.
Got a bad attitude.
Does she scribble in her book?
Yes. 99% of the time she's writing in her book.
And Tony just kind of, like, completely obviously, because he has no subtlety, just, like, glances over to try and look at the scribbles. But he's trying to be, like, inconspicuous, but he has no talent for that.
Merda slams the book shut and glares at you.
Okay, wait.
He
Okay,
totally
let me
smiles.
get this straight on the pet thing, because, like, they respawn every, like, day, right?
Every breather, yeah.
Okay, what is a breather then?
It's like a break in between big events.
Okay, alright. Because I almost used my bird up right there, but, I mean, in the sense of not coming back, so.
What, you're just gonna snap his neck?
No, I was actually going to throw him into her book, trying to get the page out right bbefore she closed it, and have her slam it and kill the bird in the middle of this event.
Oh. So
I don't think Merda has the physique to do that.
It's just a bird.
So Tony turns to everyone and says, so, I don't know about you guys, but I got invited to this with a rotten tomato. Does anyone know who's organizing this thing?
I would assume Alloy, since he was the leader in the middle of the room.
Yeah, who is that guy? He looks weird. Who wears a mist cloak that's not a mist cloak? Why is he so rude?
He's still displaying his status, which is what is important. He's the one in charge. So, let's get some adium for him. He'll take us higher up the food
The only
chain.
way to find out more is to get that ATM.
See now, Falcone, you're starting to sound smart too. You sound like you might have some leadership qualities.
He just glares.
Okay, never mind, not the leader. So then Tony looks at Tajmil, and he's like, "Are you a leader, guy?"
My eyes shift back and forth, giving indication that there is no clear-cut answer at this moment.
Whoa, we might lose, guys.
Trust me, it's 4D chess.
Wait, what? Wait, I didn't know there were D's in chess.
Yeah, like 3D chess and all that, you know what I mean? Like where you have the different levels and it's actually multiple games, like multiple in-game scenarios basically going on at once. But you can only make one move per
Tony just
turn,
stares
so-
blankly because he doesn't understand any of that.
It's just like a bunch of like it's mini game chess. Think of it as multiple mini game chess.
Tony's like, what's a mini game?
A mini game is like not a full game, it's like, you know, a small game. Have you ever played Mario Party?
And Tony's like, oh, it's small chess. Okay, got it. Tiny pieces.
My bird starts squawking loudly and I grab its beak again to try and hush it up.
Sonichu pecks at you for using an anachronism.
Sonichu is an
You're gonna ask
anachronism.
Tony if he was dropped as a baby.
That's why he's going to be policing it. It's his AVR power.
Merda goes up to Tony and asks if he was dropped as a baby.
Tony's, well, not as a baby, but my sister threw me in a pit once. That kind of sucked. But that's how I met Fluffles. And he gives Fluffles a hug.
I assume it was well deserved. Staring still at the Mist Rabbit.
No, she was just mean. She told me that mist wraiths eat people. But obviously, Fluffles here is a vegetarian, so I was safe.
Just, I'm not going to let it sleep next to me.
What, Fluffles?
Fluffles.
Yeah,
in
I can't.
particular.
I
Yes.
can't sleep anywhere.
They still do eat people and things. I mean, it has those rabbits.
But not me. That's why we're friends.
I mean, I don't think you've given enough time. Maybe if you settle down for,
At this point, does anybody want to try and resist the rioting?
No, I'll be good.
Probably wouldn't. I'm fascinated, and I think
Hey,
going
Trevor.
through that.
So
What's up,
Merda
Trevor?
suddenly starts ruffling through her book, trying to find any reference to Atium in any of her informants. Can I roll for that?
Yeah, go ahead and roll influence for me. So that's going to be 5d6.
All right. I got 2 6s.
Oh, actually, you can add another die because you do have the book is one of your props, so that'll add a die to it.
Okay, 2 3s and 2 6s.
Okay, that's awesome. So in your notes, you know of an informant named Shmi who specializes in hard-to-get metals, and you also have heard rumors of a stash of atium that the former Strath Venture might have had hidden around. And there are also rumors that 1 or 2 of the noble houses inside of New Elendel might have been keeping some atium back.
Alright, gentlemen, if you would like to follow me, I'll guarantee that we'll get into the crew for Alloy.
So, you guys finish up your conversation. All of the snacks and refreshments have been eaten up. Fluffles has been properly attended to, along with Sonichu, given all the love and attention that they need as the new mascots of the Lost Legends. And Tradition reappears at the door and tells you to follow him, leads you back up to the same way that you came in, up through the secret door. As you're leaving, you notice that there is metal completely surrounding every surface in the exterior walls of this underground room, much like the bunkers in the Field of Rebirth. And so you climb up the ladder, and you head out the door. How do you proceed from here?
I take us to the informant that has news of Atium.
Okay, are you burning tin?
No.
Okay, everybody give me a wits roll. Does anybody need those values?
Wait, are you jumping to there yet? Because I wanted to do conversations on the way before we get there.
I'm not jumping to there yet, but I do need a wits roll.
Okay.
So how do I do that?
Wits roll.
Brian, yours will be a roll of 4.
So 4d6?
That's correct.
I only have 2 dice. Is there a penalty for that? I forget.
No.
Alright, I got 2 6s.
I have 1 6.
And
Okay, so that's no pairs for,
I have a pair of 2s.
I got nothing. 5 and a 2, no matches.
Okay, so Lord Falcom, as you guys step out and head into an alleyway nearby the area you just left, you hear some footsteps both on the building next to you and on either ends of the alleyway. And I'll give you 1 beat extra. Or actually, I'll give you a 2 die advantage on your next action for succeeding at that.
Okay.
Because I was giving you a chance to notice that you guys were being snuck up on.
Well, as soon as Lord Falcom would notice that, he slugs back a vial of something, and then points in the directions of the sounds and says, "We got company," and that to warn his crew.
So Tony stuffs Fluffles back into the hidden compartment hat and stuffs that top hat in his normal one to put him away, and then he pulls out his dueling
I
cane.
start burning tin.
A little late, but okay. Taj, how do you react?
I just take a step back and assess the situation, see what happens from here.
Do you want to throw back a vial of metals as well?
Yeah, I got 2 of them.
All right. So, Lord Falcom, where exactly did you point?
Wherever I had heard the sounds from, I did.
Okay, so both ends of the alley,
yeah.
and then along with up on the roof?
Yeah.
Okay. So at the end of the alley in front of where you were going, a man steps forward and laughs in the same, and you recognize it, especially you, Kelly. You recognize it as the exact same laughter as the one that was earlier in... Nobody else would, just Kelly, because she's got the stunt for this. You recognize it as the same laugh you heard earlier in the basement. And this man steps forward and says, "Well, hello there. Looks like we got ourselves some new fish here. You think you're going to get that ATM, eh? Well, I think you're right. But I think you're going to get it for us. We're going to be the ones who gives it to Alloy. What do you think about that?"
Lord Falcom would just heft his dueling cane and stare the man in the eyes and say, "No." And I would try and walk past him.
Tony would just be like, "Man, you talk funny."
Okay, and then that's when I would immediately pull out my coins and just headshot him right there.
Won't quite work like that, but is that the general consensus? Is that we're going to disregard?
Yeah,
I'm literally like walking into this dude. If he does not move, like I'm going to shoulder check him, and I have my dueling cane in my hand, and I'm just slowly approaching.
I was gonna use my enhanced vision to look for any weaknesses of them, like injuries or anything.
Go ahead and give me a wits plus allomancy roll. So that would be Merda 9d6.
4 or 5.
Wow. Okay, so Kelly, you notice that the two guys on the roof actually don't have any weapons whatsoever.
Nice.
All right, Brian or David, before we get started going into combat, because it seems like that's what we're going to go ahead and do a physique versus physique roll, because he is not going to let you pass.
That's wrong. So, like, as soon as he would do that, I think Lord Falcom would just, with his dueling cane, so I get that plus, he's just gonna, like, quickly flash that up with the...
Well, you're already going to be at 10 dice, because I gave you that bonus for the detection.
Do I get to roll all of them? I thought I had to save some of them for if this goes on past round.
No,
one.
we're not going into combat yet.
Oh, okay. So, and let me gather up all these dice. So I have a pair of 4s and a 6.
Okay, Fent also got a pair of 4s, but he didn't get any nudges. So, do you want to go ahead and describe how this scene works, David?
Well, I would guess our shoulders would meet, and, like, eyes are just locked, and at that instant, I would flash up my dueling cane and just bust him in the nose.
Okay, so, you go ahead, you just bring up your dueling cane, clock him right across the face. He's gonna take a -1 die penalty to his next roll, and stagger a little bit, but he's not going to take any health damage since we weren't technically in combat. You were just trying to get past him.
Yeah, and then the secondary effect of trying to, like, just stun him for a second, because he wasn't expecting the dueling cane.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and especially with that nudge, we'll give you that extra that he's staggered a little bit.
Okay.
And so now we're going to go into combat. So it looks like everybody has a wits of 4, except for Tony. Fent also has a wits of 3. So the extra is going to run forward, and he is going to he's farthest away from Lord Falcom. Who was in the back?
I would probably be in the back because I did not go towards them.
I would definitely be in the back, because I mean, hell, I'm a coin shot.
Okay, he's going to run up, and he's going to try and kick Tajmil in the back of the knees to try and stagger him. Fent is going to try and clock Lord Falcom across the face. And then the two extras are going to spend their turn climbing down the roof because they didn't expect this to go so poorly. So after that, Oh, I'm sorry. Tony should have gone declared first.
Yep, Tony's pretty stupid, so... Tony has no idea what's going on, so he's just going to riot the sense of badassness in, David, what's your character's name again? Lord Falcom. He was like, that was pretty badass, and I want Lord Falcom to feel even more badass.
Okay. And then, Tajmil, what is it that you still want to shoot a coin at Fent, or did you want to try and take out one of the extras?
Well, the two climbed away, so how many extras are left then?
Well, the two extras are climbing, like, down the building towards you guys.
Oh, then yeah, I'm gonna be,
And then one of them is coming at you to try and kick you in the back of the, like, kick you.
Okay, then shotgun blast the guy that's trying to kick me. Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Let me see if I understand this correctly. I can target multiple things at once, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I can pull that up.
Because if that's the case, then I want to hit the one person that's coming after me to kick me in the eyeball, and then I would like to, like, strike the fingertips of the people coming down to hopefully cause them to fall.
In order to do, like, specialty, like you do something like hit them in the eye, you'll have to succeed on the difficulty or on, like, against the challenge versus them, and then also get enough nudges.
Okay, so what does that translate to in English?
Right now, just declare what you want.
Okay, I would like to. I could still strike multiple people though, right? Because I thought that's what I went was the what is that called? Yeah, stun multiple targets.
The backside of that is, since they're all in wildly different places, you're going to have to be really tricky with how you throw these coins up in order to get them in the right spots. So it's going to increase your difficulty, but if you pull it off, then you're going to be able to hit multiple people at once.
So what do I do for that then?
So you can attack a number of different targets up to your steel rating. So you could attack everybody if you want.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, why not?
So it won't be that it's more difficult, but they each get to defend against it.
So then what do I roll?
Well, you've got your action declared. We go to Lord Falcom next. What is it that you want to do?
This dueling cane is going to bodily lift this man from the ground.
Okay.
That is standing.
Are you aiming to hurt him, or are you just trying to, like, break his will to fight?
I'm going to show him that he should not be messing with me, that he made a mistake.
Okay, so we're going to say that's you're going to be targeting his willpower on that one when we get to that.
Yeah.
And then finally, we'll get to Merda. What is it that you want to do?
I want to scream, roof people vulnerable.
You'll get no dice for that.
I could say that that's something that you could do as you're doing another action, because that won't take anything. So, do you want to run up and punch somebody, or do you want to, like, try and see if you have something in your notes about these guys that you could possibly attack their reputation and break their will to fight? Because in a fight,
I'm going to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to check for weaknesses in my book.
Okay, so everybody go ahead and create your dice pools. Brian, yours will be based on steel pushing, so you'll get 5 dice. Yep. David, I think yours will be 8.
Well, that's, I think, my total pool, but then doesn't my dueling cane...
Oh, your dueling cane, yeah, that'll increase it by 1.
And I shouldn't use all of them, right?
Yeah, because whatever you don't use, you can use to defend.
2 5 and 2 1s and a 6.
Well, don't roll anything yet.
Yeah.
Is mine still 9?
No, because you're only using your what's in your book.
Because it's a prop.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you got 5. Anybody have
5.
John? How many do you get?
So this is just an elementary roll.
So it sounds like. Yep. The guys climbing down get nothing. The extra gets 3, and so Lord Falcom, you get first action.
Okay. So he is just going to. He had struck him with the handhold of the cane to stagger him, and then he's just going to a massive swinging uppercut, and he just looks bestial while doing this, and that would come out to a pair of 4s.
Okay. When he rolled 3 dice to defend against it, and he rolled absolutely nothing. So, the dueling cane increases your damage by 1 normally for health. We're going to say that that's also going to work for intimidating him with willpower. So he is going to take 2 willpower damage. because this really freaked him out. How does that look when you smack him not to damage, but just to show him that like you're nothing to be trifled with?
Well, I think he would just be thrown to the side, and like I made it look easy, like just swept him with one arm, and he's kind of intimidated just by my raw physique at this point.
Okay, cool. So he goes down. He just has 2 dice, so he won't be going next. I think that'll bring us to Merda, because she has 5 dice and the highest wits.
Okay, I rolled 3 2s and a 6.
Which guy are you targeting? One of the extras or the main guy?
The main guy.
He is not going to be able to... Oh, actually, yeah, he will. And he rolled nothing. So his dice are all used up, and he's going to suffer a reputation damage because you remembered something about his crew. What did you remember? Do you just know their name, or...
I remember that they're a thieving crew.
But, like, are you familiar with their name, or what is it that you know about them that you can damage their reputation with? Or actually, let's go ahead and make this a willpower. Like, I know who you are, you don't want to fight me, I'll expose you. Something like that. How does that sound?
Okay. That's good.
Do you want to do that in character, or do you just not care?
I'm going to say, wait, does it have to be a few seconds, or is it...
Okay, how about you know his name, even though he hasn't introduced himself. So you scroll furiously through his notes, and you come up with the name of Fent.
Okay.
What do you say to Fent to intimidate him, Kelly?
Come at us, Fent!
Short and sweet. All right, let's go to Tony then.
Oh, cool. I thought I'd be like last.
Oh, wait, yeah, Taj would be next.
Oh, wait, okay.
I'm sorry.
So what do I not count that previous roll I did, or?
It depends on if you want to save any dice back for defending.
For defending, let's see. I got the one guy coming after me. Can I save one, or let's say
you always have to have at least 2 dice if you want to make a roll.
Okay, so then I need to only roll 3 die. Then is that right? If I want to,
that's right. But keep in mind, if you hit with everything, like you might not have anything
just go
to defend against.
I'll just go all in. So I'm rolling. And it looks like I got 3, a 5, and 3 4s.
Okay, so that succeeds with a 4 rating. None of the extras were able to roll anything, so they're all going to get taken out in one hit.
Awesome.
And you're going to do some physical damage to Fent. Do you want to describe how this looks?
Yeah, that my coin goes whizzing by, and it's maybe not a direct hit, but it is enough that it tears part of his clothing, and you could see blood from the injury from the projectile striking his flesh.
Okay, so you throw a handful of coins into the air, and using your agility, you kind of duck underneath them and position yourself just right, and 4 coins explode out from you, 2 of them striking the 2 guys climbing down the roof, and those guys just fall down over, strike their heads when they hit the ground, and they're out. The guy who was coming at you from behind, you hit him right in the gut, and the wind goes out from under him, and he just turns around and starts staggering the other way down the alley. And then you already described what happened to Fent, so we're going to go ahead and skip that description.
You know what? I think with how much Fent has just been thrown around, he would be pinned against the wall at this point by his coin. I think we might have immobilized him.
Maybe if he had gotten some nudges.
Well, I mean, I had that nudge earlier to stagger him, right? And then...
Yeah, and he lost a die for it.
Okay. So,
what about my nudge?
Did you get a nudge?
Yeah.
I thought that was against... Who was that against, though? Was it one of the people coming down from the roof, or was it the dude at my end?
It was Fent.
I didn't realize you had gotten one. We'll go ahead and we'll say that your voice boomed out, and it was or do you want to just add another damage?
Sure.
Okay, so you add another willpower damage to that. And that will bring us to Tony. Do you want to change your action possibly, or...
What's the penalty for changing again?
You recalculate your dice pool, but it's cut in half.
Nah. So I'm going to go all in and making David feel like a rusting badass.
Lord Falcom needs no help. He knows he is a badass.
Yeah, but you can feel like a super badass. We're talking like amplifying it, right? So I got a pair of 3s is the only relevant one.
All right. David, you're going to go ahead and add a die to your next roll.
Sweet.
See what I'm talking about, man?
That's what's up.
Bent is completely out of dice, so we're going to go on to the next round. And he looks like he is close to breaking. So if you guys just want to keep walking, we'll go ahead and even go with David that he's like pinned to the wall by this coin from his cloak as well. So if you guys just want to like leave, you can. Or if you want to finish this off, it's up to you.
I think Lord Falcom would menace him with the end of the dueling cane, but then just say, "You should know not to mess with your betters. Who sent you?"
Hey, listen here, I work for nobody but myself.
Okay, I have a question. As we're leaving, is there a way for me to like attempt to pickpocket him for something useful or like a house key or something?
Sure. I'll let you roll like a physique, maybe.
Less of a pickpocket and more an armed robbery at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, but it might be something that he doesn't immediately realize that's missing. So I roll a 3. I roll 3 dice, correct?
But I think you might have some traits that will increase for you.
Traits. Let me see here. I've only got...
So your profession as a thief will increase that to 4, and your feature with quick hands will increase that to 5.
So I roll 5 dice?
Yep.
Okay, rolling, and I got a 3, a 2, and 3 5s.
Okay, I'm gonna have to think about... okay, you go ahead and reach into his pocket and pull out this piece of paper. You don't know what it is, but you feel like it was important since it was the only thing that he had on him.
Okay.
And then while Lord Falcon is menacing Fent, Tony is going to ratchet up the fear that Fent is feeling.
Sure, go ahead and roll that.
And actually, I want to do that to all his minions, too.
Oh, they're taken out.
Oh, they're unconscious? Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I spaced out for that part. Alright, I got a 6 and a pair of 4s.
He got absolutely nothing. So you notice a dark spot appear in his trousers.
Then Tony points and laughs.
What the hell?
Okay. Anybody else want to do anything to this poor fool who messed with the wrong group of Alamancers?
Merda walks straight up to him, stares him right in the eye as she starts writing down the information.
I think as soon as he had outlived our amusement for a second, I would just beat him about with the K until he ran away, very quickly.
Okay, yeah, so 1 or 2 strikes and he just takes off running. Trips over one of his guys that's groaning in the alley after falling off of the building, gets up and just keeps running.
It's like something out of a Miyazaki film.
Properly humiliated.
Well then, guys, do you want to continue following me?
Lead on, Merda.
Yep, let's go.
All right, and I think that's where we're going to end this episode, our very first of the Lost Legends of Scadrial podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate you giving us a chance. I hope you enjoyed some things. And I hope you tune in for our next episode.
Thanks for watching.
Mistborn and all related properties are owned by Brandon Sanderson and Dragonsteel Entertainment. The Mistborn adventure game is a product of Crafty Games. Special thanks to Steve Argyle for letting us use his artwork for the logo, and to Boardroom Design for putting the logo together for us. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at LLOS Podcast, or give us an email at lostlegendsofscadrial@gmail.com. We hope that you'll like and share and give us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.